In this English Vocabulary Masterclass, you're going to add 100 advanced alternatives to common words. Welcome back to JForrest English. Of course, I'm Jennifer. Now let's get started. Our first common word, let's review these in examples. Your car is fast compared to mine. Instead of fast, you can say rapid. The service was rapid during lunch hour. The service was fast. Or the response from customer support was speedy. You can also say he took a brisk walk. Brisk. He took a brisk walk to clear his mind. Now, brisk is used for actions involving energy and speed, such as walking or weather, but not objects like cars or processes. Here's a sentence hopefully you'll agree with. I'm making rapid progress or speedy progress with my English fluency. Do you agree? Put let's go in the comments.
The rapid change in pressure and temperature produces huge amounts of steam.
Visitors can ride one of Europe's fastest elevators and take a speedy climb to some of the best views in Berlin.
Interactions that could be seen as pleasantly brisk and convenient in some cultures could be seen as horribly rude in others.
And don't worry about taking notes because I summarize everything in a free lesson PDF. You can find the link in the description. Our next common word, the internet is too slow to load videos. Instead of slow, you could say the traffic was sluggish. How fast does a slug move? Not fast at all, sluggish. Traffic was sluggish during rush hour. Or you can say, I felt sluggish after a heavy lunch. Now, sluggish is used to mean less power or less energy. You could also say they took a leisurely stroll by the lake. Now, stroll is another word for walk. Leisurely, this sounds positive. So traffic is slow. That's negative. But we took a leisurely walk. This sounds positive because it means slow and relaxed on purpose. You can say progress on the project was gradual but steady. Gradual also sounds positive, whereas slow sounds negative. So gradual means slow but steady. Gradual.
Get sluggish. Let your body just eat the fat that you've stored up just the way you should. Hibernate a little bit.
Around 500 million years ago, an ancient fish was out for a leisurely swim.
Our next word, it was quiet in the library. You can say the room was silent after the shocking announcement. You could say the spa has a serene atmosphere. Serene sounds positive. It means peaceful and calm. Oh, that spa is so serene. You can say the baby's room was hushed, so she could sleep. Now, if something is hushed, just like when you say shh, it means deliberately muted. So any noise from people, music, outside, so you close the window, the room was hushed.
We must be participants of change, not silent observers.
This exhibit features playful river otters in a serene environment that is a combination of land and water habitats.
Even toddlers will love this hands-on museum where they are never hushed.
What's the opposite of silent? Our next word, the traffic is too loud for a meeting. Instead, you can say the thunder was deafening, so loud I cannot hear. Deafening during the storm. Or how about the applause was booming after the performance? Now, deafening and booming both mean extremely loud. Sometimes this can be positive, like an applause. You want applause to be extremely loud. How about this one? Her piercing scream startled everyone. Now, piercing is used for very high-pitched or sharp sounds, and they get your attention.
Right now, students around the world are screaming for change in the piercing voice of despair.
Ah, crickets. The deafening silence that occurs when someone doesn't respond to our email, phone call, or text, or in some way fails to acknowledge that we exist.
Our next common word is too hot to sit outside. Instead of hot, you can say the sand was scorching. Do you know this one? Scorching. Or the sun was blazing at midday. You can say she finished the race despite the sweltering heat. Now, all of these mean extremely hot, but sweltering specifically means uncomfortably hot. It is an extreme temperature.
Now, India is a country infamous for its scorching heat and humidity.
Everything's smoking, blazing, quickly moving, steam's going in your face, everything's smelling super good. And that's the beauty of wok cooking.
It's another sweltering night here in the swamps of Texas.
And the opposite of hot? It's too cold in this room. You can say the wind was chilly during the evening walk, the leisurely evening walk or stroll, or the lake felt icy or freezing when I dipped my hand in. The frigid air froze the pipes overnight. Now, these adjectives are listed from least extreme, so least cold, to most extreme, most cold.
A little chilly out here, isn't it? Or at night.
Surrounded by the swirling currents and freezing water of San Francisco Bay, Alcatraz was believed to be inescapable.
Holding his breath under dark, frigid water.
Our next common word, she was angry about the mistake. The boss seemed irritated during the meeting. You don't want that. He was furious when his flight was canceled. Maybe you've experienced that. Or she became enraged when her suitcase was lost. Again, these are listed from least extreme, so least angry, to most extreme. Enraged means extremely angry.
You know, sometimes I get irritated, annoyed, and wonder, what the heck? What are you doing? Why are you driving like that?
He was really furious at Hostetter, as he was, by the way, at Minsky.
Torvald finally reads the letter from Krogstad, and he is enraged.
Let's talk about hungry. Of course, you can say, I'm hungry. Let's get lunch. Now, you can say, I'm a little peckish, or just I'm peckish. Let's have a snack. You can say, after hiking all day, I was famished. Or he felt ravenous after skipping breakfast. Again, least extreme, peckish only means slightly hungry, to most extreme. Ravenous means extremely hungry.
We can whip up a sandwich if we're feeling peckish, but we have to consume proteins and sugars and other essential molecules made by something else.
The ravenous swarm stretches as far as the eye can see.
Let's talk about tired. I was so tired after the long flight. You can use weary. We were weary after the 10-hour flight. He felt drained from back-to-back meetings. Drained. Or you can say she was exhausted. I'm sure you know this one, but how frequently do you use it? She was exhausted after the marathon.
I really believe, but it is a weary game.
And then as Kyle's strength drained away, he sensed the end was coming.
On the one hand, if they do so, they'll be exhausted. They'll suffer from burnout.
Let's talk about stupid. Of course, you can describe someone as stupid, which is quite a rude thing to say, not very polite, but we often use this adjective with ourselves. I made a stupid mistake. Have you ever said that? I made a stupid mistake in front of my boss. Oh no. Well, instead of stupid, you can say dumb. Oh, that was dumb of me. That was stupid of me. You probably know that one. How about foolish? It's foolish, not very smart. So stupid or dumb, not very smart. It's foolish to leave your car unlocked. Would you agree with that? So saying something is foolish sounds slightly less rude than saying that's dumb when you're saying it to another person. Or if you even want to sound more polite, you can say, he made a silly mistake by wearing mismatched socks. So we use silly when something is more lighthearted, not very serious, and is not as harsh of the others. So if you want to say this to someone, if you say, that was dumb of you, that was stupid of you, that sounds quite harsh, quite rude. But if you say, that was foolish of you, or that was silly of you, that sounds less harsh.
How can you be smart and have this dumb idea at the same time? This was nuts.
Without fear, we'll do foolish things.
I also do silly things like I have a reggae air horn.
Let's talk about rich. He's rich enough to afford a yacht. Notice that pronunciation, yacht, yacht. You can use wealthy. Warren Buffett is extremely wealthy, so you can still modify this to make it stronger. Extremely wealthy. You can say, his wife's family is loaded, loaded. This is a casual way of saying extremely wealthy, but native speakers use this a lot. He's loaded, she's loaded, they're loaded. To sound more formal or professional, you can use affluent or prosperous. They live in an affluent or prosperous neighborhood. You can use these to describe people, but they are more commonly used to describe communities, countries, businesses.
Many wealthy countries have adopted a carbon tax that makes consuming carbon fuels more costly, encouraging households to adopt carbon-neutral energies.
Many neighborhoods will be redeveloped as affluent housing, while thousands of residents will be forcibly pushed out of their homes and into affordable housing outside the city.
The city dates back to medieval times and was already prosperous by the 13th century when a dam was built to separate the Rot from the Nieuwe Maas.
And the opposite of rich, hopefully you don't need to use this. He's too poor to afford a yacht. You can say we're raising money for disadvantaged children. Notice that pronunciation, disadvantaged. So children who don't have the advantages that wealthy families have, disadvantaged children. The community became impoverished after the hurricane. The organization helps destitute individuals find housing. So these are people in the most need, destitute.
Disparities. It exposes, that they're not taking care of certain, minority groups or disadvantaged groups. So there's a lot of political impediments, but there's spectacular examples of the opposite.
They want to impoverish all of humanity today to solve a putative problem in the future.
There's some desperate poverty out there, and it's not just an anomaly. It's half of humanity struggling to make it work.
Let's move on to clean. Your kitchen is so clean. You can say the hotel room was spotless, extremely clean. You can say the lab must remain pristine. Or your white countertops look immaculate, not an imperfection or a spot or a mark, immaculate.
There's no spotless leaders. I mean, none of us in here are morally unstained characters in life's grand story.
Even so, given this risk, it is a pristine find.
He's also committed to the idea of an immaculate empire.
And the opposite, my kitchen is so dirty. The hotel room was filthy when we arrived, extremely dirty, filthy. The windows became grimy after the storm. His unkempt, repeat after me, unkempt, disheveled. His unkempt or disheveled appearance surprised everyone. So if I started this video and my hair was super messy and my shirt had stains on it and maybe my lipstick was smeared, you might say, Jennifer, you look unkempt, or Jennifer, you look disheveled. So this is used with personal appearance, and it means poorly maintained or neglected. I neglected to brush my hair and fix my shirt before recording this video.
Crowded tenements, filthy streets, and unsanitary conditions all around contributed to an annual death rate of 1 out of every 36 residents, according to the Living City Archive.
The kitchen area is dirty and grimy.
Why was he unshaved with unkempt hair and torn jeans and paint all over his clothes? Should someone call the police?
Our next word, boring. I'm sure you've used this one. The lecture was boring. Hopefully you're not thinking that right now with this lesson. Or you can say the movie was dull, dry, or slow. All of these are synonyms to boring. You can say filling out forms is always tedious. We use this with tasks that are boring. Or you can say this job is so mundane, monotonous. So these mean routine, not changing. So the same task over and over again every single day. And because it's routine and not changing, it's therefore boring.
I know all of this may seem tedious or boring.
I was finding ways to motivate myself when things kind of got a little bored or mundane.
An audiobook, it gets astoundingly monotonous.
Are you enjoying this lesson? If you are, then I want to tell you about the Finally Fluent Academy. This is my premium training program where we study native English speakers from TV, movies, YouTube, and the news so you can improve your listening skills of fast English, expand your vocabulary with natural expressions, and learn advanced grammar easily. Plus, you'll have me as your personal coach. You can look in the description for the link to learn more, or you can go to my website and click on Finally Fluent Academy. Now let's continue with our lesson. Our next common word, amazing. Our vacation was amazing. I'm sure you know the word amazing, and you might think, well, this is a replacement to a common word. It's a replacement to good, very good, or great. And that's true, but this replacement word amazing has become overused. And I say I'm guilty of it because there are 30 or more common alternatives. So why just use the same word over and over again when 30 or more alternatives exist? So let's review the most common. The concert was simply incredible. So here the alternative word is incredible. Incredible. Now you can modify this to make it sound stronger and say simply incredible. My English progress in just 1 month is astonishing. Astonishing. Now, hopefully that's something you are thinking right now, and hopefully my lessons play a role in helping you get astonishing results, amazing results, astonishing results. If you think so, then put that's right, put that's right in the comments. We also use amazing to describe scenery or buildings or situations even. For example, the sunset was breathtaking, to use a replacement to amazing. Now don't worry about taking notes because I summarize everything in a free lesson PDF. You can find the link in the description.
We're bringing incredible talent and tools.
The story of the Lake Peigneur drilling accident is an astonishing record.
It was initially constructed in 1436, but the astonishing front facade wasn't completed until the 19th century.
Our next common word, the restaurant, was nice. Nice, this is a positive adjective. It's a feeling of general satisfaction. Of course, you can use it to describe people, things, or experiences. For example, you can say, what a pleasant day. What a pleasant day. So this is something you can use every single day. Or you can say, the receptionist at the hotel was lovely, instead of describing him or her as nice, was lovely. Now, that is a person. You can also describe an experience or a specific object. Our stay at the hotel was delightful. Delightful. We had an enjoyable time at the park.
It's been a pleasant surprise to be involved in this kind of thing.
And this really does have a lovely sauce to it, even though we put cream cheese in it.
Now, sleeping is delightful.
Here's a common word you probably use every day. The exam was easy, easy. You can say, I studied for weeks, so the exam was a piece of cake. I find that most students know this idiom, to be a piece of cake. The exam was a piece of cake. Or hopefully you're thinking right now, Jennifer makes learning English easy peasy. So you just add the word peasy here, easy peasy. It sounds very fun, very casual, very lighthearted. So if you agree that Jennifer makes learning English easy peasy, put that's right in the comments. Or you could say, you make speaking in public look effortless, look easy, look effortless. Now you could say the instructions were easy to follow or easy to understand. So you can replace easy to follow with the instructions were straightforward and or clear. So you can use both or you can just use one.
If it would work, we know it would work. Piece of cake, I think most people would get behind it.
It's effortless. We just do it without really thinking about it.
Seems pretty straightforward.
Now, what's the opposite of easy? The exam was hard. You can say, I didn't study, so the exam was challenging. The exam was difficult. Or you could say, we thought the hike was going to be a piece of cake or easy peasy, but it was strenuous. Strenuous. It was arduous. Arduous. Both strenuous and arduous mean requiring much effort or energy, so they're generally used with physical tasks. You can also say, I had a tough day, instead of saying I had a hard day.
The cosmetics were challenging.
It's going to be difficult to get them to pay.
Because of this, couples avoid tough conversations about money before getting married.
How about this easy word? The traffic downtown is always bad. Instead of bad, you can say the traffic this morning was dreadful, dreadful. Or I had a terrible headache last night instead of bad headache. The food on the plane was appalling, appalling. This is more severe than bad. It means very bad. So often these alternatives can replace very or so plus the common adjective.
You know, they're just so earnest and dreadful.
I asked my son, who is by the far terrible, terrible athlete, gets it from his dad.
I wouldn't crave it, but it's not terrible.
How about this common one? She's a happy person. I think this describes me overall. Instead, you can say she's a joyful person. She's a cheerful person. You can say he was elated, elated after hearing the good news. She felt ecstatic, ecstatic when she got the job.
It was so good, and I brought the joyful grains.
I know that others felt devastated or elated.
But I didn't care. I was jumping up for joy. I was ecstatic. I was happy.
Our next common word, that was a smart question. Instead of smart, you can say that was a clever question. That was a brilliant question. Brilliant sounds like very smart. Or you can say he's extremely intelligent. He's extremely bright. You don't have to use the modifier extremely is just an option. Just like you could say he's extremely smart or just he's smart. He gave an astute. He gave an astute analysis of the market. That is an excellent word to use in a more professional or academic environment. You can say his ingenious. ingenious. His ingenious method solved the issue quickly.
There are more clever ways to prove bounds on the COP number.
Yeah, I think that's actually a very astute observation.
Well, local officials came up with a brilliant plan.
Here's a common one that native speakers overuse. The documentary was interesting. Interesting. Instead of interesting, you can say, the history of ancient Egypt is fascinating. Fascinating. Or the speaker gave an intriguing presentation. His captivating performance held the audience's attention. Captivating. These are great alternatives because interesting can sometimes mean negative, but the three alternatives I gave you are always used in a positive way.
I just think it's a fascinating idea.
I think it's so captivating to see this couple in this really intense night of their lives.
I find the definition of compassion is a fascinating one, and it's not one that I hear people talk about.
Our next common word, thanks for the beautiful flowers. Again, there is nothing wrong with saying beautiful, but there are so many beautiful alternatives, like the word gorgeous. Her garden is gorgeous. The colors of the leaves in fall are stunning, stunning. Or the flower vase is exquisite, exquisite. Now notice I said vase. Both pronunciations, vase, which rhymes with face, and vase, which has an ah but a z sound, both are used in American English, which is interesting because vase is the American pronunciation and vase is the British pronunciation. And generally in American English, we don't adopt British pronunciation, but for this specific word, vase or vase, both are commonly used in North America.
There are kind, loving men looking for a gorgeous woman like you.
Deep sea corals actually come in a stunning array of brilliant colors.
Cahal was in awe of its exquisite detail, both as a scientist and an artist.
Our next common word, I have an important meeting this afternoon. How many times do you describe something as important? I know I sure use it a lot. Instead, you can say the meeting is crucial, crucial. Or this is a significant opportunity for our company. You can say it's vital, vital, or it's essential, essential to get enough rest before the exam.
But their influence is crucial in the development of their children.
Now, the site is a work in progress, but it's significant progress because it's designed with the users who matter most.
Having these vital money talks before getting married will prepare you to have them during marriage from a place of honesty and understanding.
Our next common word, the movie was funny. Instead of funny, you can say the comedian is hilarious, hilarious. This sounds like very funny. Or her reaction was humorous. Her reaction was comical. Instead of saying you're very funny, you can say you're very witty, witty. Keep in mind though that this means funny in a clever way. So it does have a slightly different meaning from funny, but it's a great alternative to know.
Made-up nonsense gibberish is frequently hilarious.
He's very keen on, his work is very humorous anyway.
He was a very witty, very wise man.
How about this common word? I made a big mistake rejecting the job offer. You can say it was a substantial mistake, but we can fix it. Or this is an enormous, that sounds like very big, enormous project. You can use enormous to describe objects. You can also use massive. Elephants are massive. Elephants are massive. Elephants are enormous.
We've come to a very substantial
phase one deal.
All these things are areas where we've made an enormous investment, and there have been significant payoffs.
These are massive machines.
And what's the opposite of big? It was a small mistake. A small mistake. Let's review some common alternatives. Don't be mad. It's a tiny mistake. We can fix it. Tiny is very small. So if you want to minimize the importance of a mistake, you can say it was a tiny mistake. Here's a great one. I made some minor changes to the report. Minor changes. Or you could describe an object and say only compact cars can park here. It's an alternative to saying small cars. Only compact cars can park here. With money or resources, you can say we invested a modest amount of money.
Soil is mostly made of little tiny rocks. Its texture depends on the size of those rocks.
In between all these minor changes, wash your hands, wear a mask, get a vaccine, you know the drill.
So although the findings were pretty modest, the WHO thinks this one's worth a shot.
Here's one that might apply to you. Many students are scared of speaking English in public. You can say, she became terrified. Terrified. That sounds like very scared. She became terrified when she found out she had to give a presentation. Or the noise frightened the kids. Frightened instead of scared. Now, to say extremely scared, you can use the word petrified. I'm petrified of spiders.
We are terrified of being wrong.
What are you frightened of ever losing?
My engagement ring.
I was absolutely petrified of this man.
Let's review this common word. It was brave of you to agree to give the presentation in front of 2,000 people. Even though you were petrified, it was brave of you. You can say she made the bold decision to move abroad. It's brave, it's bold. She made the bold decision. Or it was courageous. It takes a lot of courage. It was courageous of you to quit your job.
For the first time in my life, I understood how courageous she is.
So we were so proud of him because he was so courageous, so visionary.
Now, that's a pretty bold statement.
There are many more alternatives to common words that I could teach you, and honestly, this lesson benefits me as well. It's a reminder to myself and all native speakers to start using all the common alternatives. I was going to say amazing alternatives because I overuse that word. All the common alternatives that exist. So if you want me to make another lesson just like this, put more, put more, and I will find more spectacular instead of amazing. I will find more spectacular alternatives for you. So put more in the comments. And of course, make sure you like this lesson, share it with your friends, and subscribe so you're notified every time I post a new lesson. And you can get this free speaking guide where I share 6 tips on how to speak English fluently and confidently. You can click here to download it or look for the link in the description. Now, here are some other words that you should remove from your vocabulary immediately. Make sure you watch it right now.